That's literally just an act of terrorism. Like,
Yeah. I mean, these aren't the good guys.
I know. It's just like you're setting off a necrosis bomb that can also move. Like it's
Yep.
That's so strikingly Orcus, though, because he's so
yeah.
very clear with his goals. Everybody has to be undead. No more of this life shit.
Welcome to Monsters and Multiclass, your Dungeons & Dragons fix. I'm Ellie.
I'm Jared Bornagle.
And I'm Will Melton.
And on this episode, we are taking a look at the Bodak, terrifying entities of negative life created by Orcus. We could have done this right after the Orcus episode. That would have been timely, but we're just not that talented.
It's still like pretty close to at least the Demon Lord saga. So, but that said, I have used this creature twice in games, and I never even realized it had anything to do with Orcus. Mm-hmm. I just kind of used it as a creature. So, hey, there's some setup for you.
Right. You guys fall in and out of the abyss.
Yep. You can totally ignore this creature's lore and move on with your life. We're not going to. We're going to talk about it a little bit. So the Bodak is a fallen follower of Orcus. Orcus being the demon lord of undeath. It looks very much like the Scream mask turned into a specific creature. It has these big hollow eyes and a gaping mouth that I'm assuming is just open all the time. And it's one of those creatures that is often brought up in terms of challenge rating just being broken or not working or not able to account for everything. Because this little guy is going to have some fun twists in the stat block. So I'm sure we'll be coming to that. And I guess we'll just get straight into the stat block.
Well, we should talk flavor a little more.
Gross.
Yeah, so
sure.
they're worshippers of Orcus. They take a ritual where they carve the Demon Lord's symbol on its chest over its heart, and then the Orcus's power flays the body, mind, and soul, leaving behind a sentient husk that sucks in all life energy near it. Most Bodaks come into being this way, then unleash to spread death in Orcus's name. They have the same idea in goals as Orcus. They're basically extensions of Orcus. Orcus could see through them, has complete control over them, all that great stuff.
Yeah, that part is definitely interesting. The idea that Orcus can see through them allows it to be, I guess, minions, but at the same time, like not really a convenient operative in terms of spying on your enemies, so to speak.
No.
Like the fact that he can see through them, it's like, what's the benefit there? What is Orcus getting out of that? Just watching the horrors they cause? Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, seeing who attacks them, people who are capable of taking on these could eventually become threats to Orcus. He could also speak through them.
That's just terrifying in its own way. I can't imagine this thing just like strolling up to my house and like, hey, Orcus has a message for you.
Again, I think it's more like a threat.
That would be the threat, I guess I assumed. Right. I didn't think it's like, hey, Orcus has like a delivery for you. Can you sign here? Here's the wand of Orcus.
Wait a second.
So, something tells me this horrible thing is trying to trick me. They also retain a little bit of mannerisms and connection to their previous life, which just sounds really terrifying. They have a tendency to go and try and hunt down anyone they knew in the previous life to erase any connection to it. And those that knew them could pick up on mannerisms and certain things like that connect them to who they once were. For some reason, that just adds this like extra level of it to me.
Definitely. And it gives great setup as a DM to introduce this monster into your game. I mean, having situations where somebody was acting weird and then they went missing and now people in the town have gone missing thereafter. Super easy setup, and you can just have this be the thing behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into town, killing anybody that knew it, and yeah, it's simple.
And then in regards to its ritual and how to become one of these, the phrasing of it makes it sound like you need to be a worshiper of Orcus. But I think a kind of cool twist on that is to just have it be where somebody could force this ritual on somebody and make them into one of these. And I think that's a very
That's super messed up.
terrifying thing. Yeah.
Like you're just sitting on that. You just think of these things.
I guess, yeah.
This is what happens. This is your brain on DMing. You've been DMing for like what 4 weeks now, and you've already coming up with these sick, twisted ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I could turn this family into Bodaks.
Yeah.
Just do it to your party.
Turn somebody in your party into a bodak.
Yep.
Bodak.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
No, don't do that at all. But I could see like a warlock of Orcus being a thing, and then having to do this to somebody, which would be really, really messed up. That would definitely be one of those like making you struggle with your pact type deal. I guess I hope, unless you're just playing a pure evil campaign, in which case I don't know, go for it.
No, because the party would immediately just find their like the moral shortcut here, and it's like one bandit out of every encounter goes on the bodak table, and everyone's cool with it.
I like how you say like the entire party immediately will be cool with this. Like there will be no conversations, there'll be no issues. Just like, oh, why don't we just like kill one of every bandit, or turn one of every bandit into a bodak?
Yeah, you got a warlock in the party. That happens.
That's what you signed up for.
All right, now we can go about stat block.
All right. So this is a challenge rating 6, the Bodak. It is undead and chaotic evil. That's kind of no surprise. We have a armor class of 15, HP of 58, and speed of 30. Stat array is +2 to strength, +3 to dex, +2 to con, -2 intelligence, +1 wisdom, and +1 charisma. And we've got 2 skills, perception +4 and stealth +6. The stealth could definitely come up. Perception, I guess, if it's, being on the lookout, whatever. It's got some stats.
It
skills.
feels like every monster we cover has a stealth stat. I don't get it. It's just like everything has it.
So you can get some surprise rounds on players.
Or I misspoke. A perception. There's probably they don't have stealth. It feels like everything has perception.
That is probably like just a general balance against rogues. To make sure that rogues have some DC to beat that isn't just 10 or whatever.
Right.
Then something that's interesting for undead, we've got damage resistances to cold, fire, necrotic, and then bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, and then some damage immunities to lightning and poison, which all are more in line with a demon than an undead, because
they're kind of demons.
Yeah, they're kind of demons.
They're undead demons.
And we have a condition immunity for charmed, frightened, and poisoned. Then some dark vision out to 120 feet, languages abyssal, and then any languages it knew in life. And I guess aura of annihilation. Yeah, so has some passives as well.
Yeah, the real minor thing, aura of annihilation.
Yeah, just a real teensy bit here that we'll sprinkle in. No, so it has actually a lot of passive abilities. We've got aura of annihilation as the first one, which is the Bodak can activate or deactivate this feature as a bonus action. While active, the aura deals 5 necrotic damage to any creature that ends its turn within 30 feet of it. Undead and fiends ignore this effect. Great. So basically every turn we're doing 5 damage to all players. It's at this level where somebody would be fighting it. I mean, again, with challenge rating 6, you're probably not throwing this against a level 20 party. They're not going to care too much about 5 necrotic damage. But
a level 5, a level 6 party? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that adds up fast.
Yeah, in the mini campaign we just wrapped up, you guys were level 6. What was your max HP?
Mine was like 54, and I had high
Yeah.
constitution and the dwarven toughness. So that
Right.
was like above average. So I think on average you're around like 50, late 40s maybe. A
Right.
wizard probably closer to like 40 though.
Yeah. Yeah. 5 every round's terrible. And like there's no save, it just happens.
Yeah, and you don't even know how close you can get either. I mean, the fact that it's 30 feet, it's a wide enough range that as a player, you might just assume you can stand wherever and this is going to happen. Your initial thought probably isn't going to be, I should keep running backwards until this stops affecting me.
I don't know, I feel like that would be my initial thought. But I also know most stat blocks and usually know that it's an aura for stuff like that. So.
And we're meta scumbags who would probably
Right.
intuit the 30 feet like round one. It's like 30 feet. That sounds familiar. Where do I hear that a lot? So remember, as a DM,
you might not know
make
that
it
right
45 feet. Make it a number they haven't seen. Every time. You got to do it. Like 40 feet versus 30 feet, no big deal, but it will screw with your players.
That is
that's
actually
a
fair.
good point. And then a lot of them are 10 feet. Make those 15 or 20 feet.
And some of them are like 60. Make those 50. Just like change up the numbers. No reason. So then next we have Death Gaze. When a creature that can see the Bodak's eyes starts its turn within 30 feet of the Bodak can force it to make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw if the Bodak isn't incapacitated and can see the creature. If the saving throw fails by 5 or more, the creature is reduced to 0 HP unless it's immune to the frightened condition. It is literally scaring them to death. Otherwise, the creature on a normal fail takes 3d10 psychic damage.
Which is just brutal. And then like any other gaze, you have the option to avert your eyes. This is real standard.
Yeah, and this one isn't like a Medusa where everybody knows that, okay, if we're fighting this thing, you gotta avert your eyes, you gotta do the whole tricks that everybody has run through the gambit on. So definitely something that may take at least a round or two, and that's really all you need. But otherwise, say if people's eyes are closed, it's always a tough fight. I mean, you disadvantage on all attacks. Most spellcasters can't cast like 90% of their spells if they can't see.
Right, and any attacks against the creature will get it from, at least from the Bodak. Bodak will get advantage.
Yeah, though it's fist, which we'll get to in a little bit, is not. It's not what I'm afraid of compared to other things.
Yeah, and this just happens every round, every time on a creature's turn when they look at it. Once per turn when they look at it. It's not like it's the Bodak's reaction or bonus action or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, the only thing that's really going for this is the fact that it's a DC 13 Constitution save, which isn't terrible, but it's one of those, it only takes one fail. You know, if you're just the high Constitution Paladin and you're like, oh, well, there's a 95% chance that I'll get this every single turn. Well, then the 5% chance happens and now you're down to 0.
Right, yeah, roll a 1.
Yeah, you're not going to have more than, I mean, say it only takes up to 8. So unless you have a +7 to your Constitution, which very few players do at this level of, you know, we're talking 4 to 6 maybe when this is a reasonable fight. So yeah, definitely a pretty scary one. That's, I think, something that a DM might look at and be like, 13 Constitution, that's too low. Like, no, you might want to leave that one right where it's at. It's the threat of it more than the actual execution.
Exactly. And then especially when you start to think, how many times do you roll a 1? Because a 1 is just almost a guarantee.
How many?
It's a crit failed save.
Yeah.
In a lot of senses, which is brutal.
Yeah. Then, last bit we had here for passives is Sunlight Hypersensitivity. The Bodak takes 5 radiant damage when it starts its turn in sunlight. While in sunlight, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. So you're probably only going to be fighting this thing at night or in dark places.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of player options to create sunlight. There's some magic items that could do it, and I think there's like one spell that I know of, Dawn.
Yeah, and that's 5th level. It's not an easy
Yeah,
access spell.
right. So probably not coming up a whole lot.
Yeah. The man, it hits so hard. But well, let's get to the actions. So first one is the fists, which this is actually not that brutal in comparison. But we've got a +5 to hit, reach of 5 feet, and then it does 1d4 plus 2 bludgeoning damage, plus 2d8 necrotic damage. And it doesn't have multi attack, so I mean we're really looking at I think average 13 damage per attack. It's not particularly scary.
No. But
we also have the Withering Gaze action, which is one creature that the bodak can see within 60 feet of it must make a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or take 4d10 necrotic damage on a fail or half as much on a successful one.
there it is.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to ever try and do the fist attack. Unless it's blinded.
Yeah. Unless it's blinded, then I guess that would make sense. Yeah.
Right. Because it has to be able to see it. About 20, an average 40-10 is an average of 22 damage. At challenge rating 6 is insane. That's almost half the health of most PCs around this level.
Yeah, and so when we start adding up the numbers here, we get 22 from the Withering Gaze, 16 from the Death Gaze puts us at 38, and then the Aura of Annihilation puts us to 43. So we're already past where a wizard's health is going to be at this level, and getting to the point where one turn could potentially knock out a PC if they, fail a couple of saves, and that's if they fail their Constitution save on the Death Gaze and don't get below an 8.
Right.
Because then it's just boom, done.
Yeah. On the flip side, though, it does low AC of 15 and not a lot of health. 58 health.
It's kind of a glass cannon.
Yep.
Or I guess it
kind
is.
of,
it just
but not. Because there's two extenuating circumstances, which is the obvious damage, resistance, and immunities, which could theoretically double or even more so the health. And you can imagine the entire party having disadvantage the entire fight.
Yep.
So you could almost, in circumstances, you could say this thing has 20 AC and 106 health. 108.
Yeah, you're right. That said, I guess it's kind of interesting. It's almost like you have to, if a party knows exactly what they're doing, they may realize that it's better to just like basically try and nuke the thing down, because in a way you can if you just commit to it. But if you do take the disadvantage and avert your gaze every single time, then it's going to be a much, much longer fight. As you said, you're going to be missing more. The resistance is going to come up either way, so not much you can do there. But the characters that usually have magical damage are ones who need to be able to see in order to cast those spells. So that part can be a little bit tricky as well as the spellcaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you guys fought one of these in Out of the Abyss, and I'm pretty sure you were right around 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a bodak alone in a room. And I remember it being a hard fight. You almost died.
Oh, nice. This is my favorite fights.
Right? So yeah, despite it seeming on paper like it might be, not too tough, it should die quick, do some damage, it's like it can end up being really, really difficult.
Yeah, so, and I think that's how I've actually run it before as well, was basically a single bodak in a room by itself, and that was really all that it needed. That said, if you wanted to, I'm sure you could throw in some zombies as well to really add to the pain of the battlefield, because then it gets its aura that doesn't do any damage to it. It basically needs to be zombies or demons.
Otherwise, undead, really.
Right.
Because otherwise they want the bodak wants to just snuff out all life.
Right.
Of any kind. So basically it needs to be undead, or cultists to Orcus they kind of got like imprinted on them to leave them alone.
You could see that.
And that's it. So
And it's funny, when in our Orcus episode, we were talking about summoning a bunch of liches and such. With Orcuses, like, you can summon up to this many hit points.
Right.
I just want to see a summoning a bunch of Bodaks, because officially that aura of annihilation would do damage for each person
Oh
or each
no.
individual Bodak. So if there was like 30 Bodaks, you're doing, 30 times 5 damage every single turn
Right.
within 30 feet. Now that's obviously silly, and I guess it would just be like
it's
a roving
brilliant.
band of them.
Orcus would have hallways with indestructible glass partitions. And you'd have to walk down it, filled with Bodaks.
That's amazing. Yeah, so officially the Wand of Orcus summon thing, I think it was 500 HP worth.
Okay.
And so they could summon 8 Bodaks.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, still a lot.
Yeah, that's 40 damage around.
Yeah.
That if you're within 30 feet. Or again, you're just kind of creating these no-go zones, because it's just able to lock it down. I am now just imagining like that being the trap, though, like what Will said, of just a basically indestructible glass something, and here you go. There's just a Bodak inside. Get around it. Good luck.
It doesn't even need to see it. You could like trap like you could have this walled off 10 by 10 space and put like 4 Bodaks in there, and it's just completely walled off. And then on the outside is a room that only extends, 20 feet out. And anywhere in that room, every turn.
No, you're right, because
20 damage.
It doesn't
and
say
you can't
it
do
as,
anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would just be mean, but you could do it.
It's not blocked by full cover.
No.
That would actually be kind of interesting from the perspective of like I don't know if good foreshadowing is really what it would be, but it would be somewhat fortuitous. Am I using that right? Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Words don't mean anything. So if you had a fight in a room prior to a Bodak fight, and you notice that like, oh, when I'm on this side of the room, I'm taking 5 damage every turn. When I'm on this side, I'm not. What's going on there? But the fight finishes, they stay out of the weird zone, the party probably inspects it a little bit, maybe somebody gets bold and goes into the next room, and oh, there's a Bodak. Okay, now we know where the damage is coming from.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of really mean things you could do with it.
Which I think goes to say most of them, it's like, don't do that. It's not fun. Most of them. You can. There's probably a couple here.
Like a third of the suggestions on this podcast are just kind of mean-spirited towards players.
I like to think we're bringing them up as like a, hey, you can think of mean things. It doesn't mean that they're good. Don't do them.
Right.
But do the hallway thing.
I mean, you could do the hallway thing. It could just be a good trap if they just need to run through it, and they can run through it. Maybe they need to, not that it would stop everything, but hey, there's Bodaks on all sides. I guess officially you could just close your eyes and run through it so that their death gaze doesn't do anything, but the aura of annihilation is still going to. It might not be a great trap.
Or another good way, if one of these plop down in like a busy city center, like they get summoned and put there, commoners have 4 health.
Yeah, they're gonna die.
You could fit a lot of commoners within 30 feet of a Bodak in like a crowded market square, who then has 30-foot speed.
That's particularly
and
evil.
The death gaze, which commoners are probably not going to know to like avert their eyes. And then it's withering gaze, which I think most commoners would fail to save.
That's literally just an act of terrorism.
Yeah. I mean, these aren't the good guys.
I know. It's just like you're setting off a necrosis bomb that can also move. Like it's...
Yeah.
That's so strikingly Orcus, though, because he's so very clear with his goals. Everybody has to be undead. No more of this life shit.
Yeah, I like the idea actually of a roving band of Bodaks that are just kind of walking through cities trying to kill everybody. And I'm sure there'd be, at first it would get 1 or 2 cities, but then it's just a matter of oh, I guess they could like encircle cities to make sure that
Oh,
people
and then
don't
just
leave. Yeah, and then basically just condense down and do an entire scouting of the entire city and wipe it out in like a night.
that actually kind of be really cool as an adventure, like an
Right.
adventure hub. You come across a city that's just been wiped out. Everyone's just
Yep.
dead. No one has any like wounds on them or anything like that. Everyone's just dead. Every animal's dead. Every plant is dead. It just looks like death swept through the city. And then there's like a
Yeah.
trail of it leading off into the wilderness towards the next town. And then you need to figure out what you're doing. And there's too many of them to just go and like, all right, well, just go and like kill the Bodaks.
Right.
You'd have to come up with something like to plan to like lure them somewhere. And
You build a fake city on a rock cliff. And then once they're all in the city, you break the rock cliff off and let them all fall into
a
the
volcano.
abyss. Yeah, a volcano that we also
There you
have
go.
to build there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you plug up a volcano and put a fake city on top of it.
A city on top of a volcano. That sounds ridiculous. Then with that idea though, I could imagine the players, one of them having like speak with dead, and I feel like that'd be a really interesting interaction as well, because the person who was killed by it may not have any idea what the heck happened, because as you said, 5 HP is how long, or sorry, they have 4 HP as commoners, so it's very possible they're just in their house and boom, that's it, gone, without ever seeing them, without ever touching them.
You know, it'd be super
So-
freaking creepy.
Huh.
You put these things in a sewer, like a sewer that's like 20 feet down, and it's like a minor mystery. There's just like spots, people are dying, and it would really, really help because it would protect them from the sunlight sensitivity. And another thing, which we kind of mentioned but didn't, is that if you put this in a confined space, it just ramps the difficulty all the way to the max this can really get to. If it's in an open field, you just got to count out the feet and stay out of the range of all this stuff, and you're fine forever. But in the sewers, the deep pitch black sewers with winding corridors and strange rooms, that'd be perfect.
Oh, I actually, that makes me think of a way that the party, in the situation where you do have a roaming band of Bodaks, what they could do if they find out where the Bodaks are hiding at night, then the party can find a way to, stop them from getting into their shelter at night, and, sun comes up, burns them all. So if you're the type of DM who wants to have a thought planned for like, what are they going to do? That could actually work. Great way to kill them all. Sunlight. Wait for the sun to come up. They will last.
Trap them somewhere. Yeah.
What? 5 rounds? No, I can't do math.
12.
Yes. Okay. So they'll last a minute.
Yeah.
It's not very long.
No. Just burn alive. No, I love that sewer idea. That's really cool. That would be really hard for a party to figure out, I think. Just these mysterious pockets of death and they move too, of course. Yeah, and you also bring up a really good point where this thing really does need to be fought in a confined space. A really important caveat of Aura of Annihilation is if when a creature ends its turn within 30 feet, it's not start, so it's not like, a PC can run away, and then the Bodak runs up to it and then guarantees the damage. The PC has the ability to move again.
That explains why the fist is there as well, because opportunity attacks. It needs to have a melee option.
Right.
So if you run up and run away, can't just do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a use for its fist. Yeah, is this going to be our shortest episode yet?
I think so.
Probably.
All right.
Unless you want to talk about
think there's too much more to talk about.
Hierophants of Annihilation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those are cool. There's no stats for them. Maybe in an old edition there was. These are like the original Bodaks. Yeah, I Googled it, and too, and I didn't find anything. But yeah, when Orcus created the first Bodaks, they were extremely powerful. They were called Hierophants of Annihilation. They were as mighty as Balors.
Baylor.
Yeah,
You're right there.
There's 8 of them. That's about all it says. It's just like, yeah, any of these Bodaks can turn a slain mortal into a Bodak with its gaze. Like each hierophant of annihilation, every Bodak bears the mark of Horsus as a chest wound. Yeah. So that doesn't say much more, but it sounds like there's really cool stuff you could do there. Really cool opportunity to homebrew, like a boss. One of these survived through the ages.
The hints
it's like
there.
A weaker than an Orcus fight.
If you need a challenge rating 20 version of this, you can do some real nasty stuff.
Yeah, and you could probably just start with that Baylor stat block and switch a couple things around. Add the passives to it. Maybe, take out some of the fire-based stuff with the Baylor.
Yeah, well, a Baylor's really pretty different and specific. I think it meant more like there is frightening and has served the presence of a Baylor, but they're not like a Baylor but necrotic. Because they have long swords and
that's what I'm saying.
And teleports and
why not though? If we just
right,
what's stopping us from saying a Baylor but necrotic?
It's sure. I think it'd just be cool to make its own thing.
Think how much fun your players would have if the Death Gaze had a DC of 20.
Oh my god!
Think about that. Think how fun that would be.
And if they died, they came back as a regular Bodak to then attack the party.
Obviously.
Yes.
And you can fix Bodaks for the record. You just need a wish spell. Oh. That sounds so fun.
Yeah, the soul of a creature that became a Bodak is so damaged that it's unfit for most forms of magical resurrection. Only a wish spell or similar magic can return a Bodak to its former life.
Be a good way, I guess, a good hook if you were doing the, what are they called? The Hierophants? What was it? Yeah, Hierophant of Annihilation.
Like that,
if you have one of those, then maybe you do need to wish it back, and all of the things that it turned into Bodaks also, their souls can rest. I won't say they all come back to life. That's taking a wish too far. But
right.
That's the only way to have their souls rest. Always a good hook to try, or always good to have a reason for the party to need a wish spell. But I don't think we've ever done that. I don't think wish has ever actually been cast at our table outside of getting what's the deck? The deck of many things, which is mostly in campaigns where it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, I can't ever think of using wish.
One of these days.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I think
that's the episode. Now, yeah.
They're pretty cool. Throw them at your party. Be careful not to kill your party with them.
And if you're looking for ways to maybe make the entrance scene of the Bodak extra creepy, I know that where I would start is by going to our old pals Describe, where you can get finely crafted box text in order to I guess just that, describe scenes and fill out your world and create flowery language without the usual effort that comes from writing long scenes and box text. And you can get 10% off your subscription using the code MM10. So check that out. Describe, DSCRYB. Yeah, Describe. And thank you as always to our patrons, Jeff W., Joe P., Vincent M., Isaac M., Sentinel D20, Star Shinobi, Adam A., Ed G., Bob F., Craig A., Brian H., Luca L., Rob K., and Monowait. You're all awesome, and we love you.
And don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, leave a review, etc., etc. And as always, thanks for watching.